Hey guys, so today's video we're going to be talking about a band that I worked with for a couple years called I Am Legend. We're going to talk about the record deals we had on the table. We're going to talk about the national tours we had on the table and basically how we blew all of it. But from this, just like everything else, we learn a lesson and we move forward. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you soon. What's up, guys, and welcome back. So what I need you to do right now is hit the subscribe button down there, throw a comment or a like. The way we're going to kick things off and get this started is to take you on a journey through my musical journey, and where that all started for me, for the most part, was with a band called I Am Legend. And I'm here with two members of that band right now, Rob and Rob. If you guys are watching on video, you'll be able to see the difference very clearly. They're right there. If you're listening to the audio version, you'll probably also be able to pick up on it. I'll have them introduce themselves here in the beginning so you can identify who's who. So I'm going to throw it to the Robs.
Hi. So after you.
Hey, I'm Rob. I am the former lead singer of I Am Legend and songwriter.
And I'm Rob as well. I'm Rob Rock. I play guitar in I Am Legend.
And full disclosure, guys, Rob Scanlon is also my cousin. This is the first band that I really, not the first one I worked with, but the first one that I really dove into head first, and was really super involved with, and to their benefit or behest, they were the first one where I learned, all the things to do and the things not to do, probably. So we kind of learned it together.
Yeah.
But they were around a little bit before I got involved. You guys talk about the early days.
I mean, you were, just because of how, much we talked via, AIM and stuff, you were pretty closely involved even from, the get. I was in, a small high school project with a bunch of guys that, we mutually know or grew up with. And I actually got kicked out of that band because I was such an asshole. And no, honestly, it boiled down to I got really obsessed with music and mood and being in a band and potentially doing it as a career. And everybody in that band was like, yeah, man, no, let's just play in the basement and just chill. Why would you even want to try that? And I was like, no, fuck it. You guys are boring. So I started I Am Legend as a pen name, and I started recording things on this shitty little M audio box and trying to make
which I think is still around here somewhere, actually.
I think the original one is around here. So I made a couple tracks, met the drummer who was originally his drummer. I stole him.
Yeah.
Guy named Joey O. Joey and I really hammered down a couple practices, came up with some more stuff. We had one little version of I Am Legend, which was myself, Joey, and a keyboard player and a bass player.
Are we not naming their names?
I don't know if they would want to be, so I'm not gonna throw their names out.
Neil Pascarella and Matt Jealous.
This is cement shoes for Cinderella era.
Yeah.
Even before that.
Well, yeah, kind of. No, that was pretty much.
Well, I mean, that was the kind of genesis of that all coming together. Is what that was the output of that.
That was the tail end of it.
So that's my first memory. That's the first song I think you sent me.
Yeah, that was the first serious recording of stuff that we did. Influenced by Say Anything, Panic at the Disco, and a couple other things that were happening at the time were swirling around in my head, making all that come together. And then from there, Rob became a little bit more invested in the project. We pulled him in, and I was still playing guitar at that point.
Well, it's kind of after, because you guys had me play guitar on that record.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
In addition to, yeah. So
shortly after that, Rob we worked on Face the Real World. It was the first song that we worked on together.
Yep.
And we came to a good point. We wrote the song out, kind of finally flowed the way that we all wanted it to. And Rob came to practice at some point and was like, hey, I've got this song. I know that you're the guy, but would you be willing to try it out? And I was just begrudgingly yeah, okay. He pulled out The Radio Must Die and started playing that.
Classic.
And when I heard the riff, I was just like, okay, cool. Like, this is something else. And we like went from there. And that was when I stopped hating him and I started wanting him to be a member of the band and like actually like rolled with it. Like, because before that we were like kind of button heads, like on a mutual, like, we're both like creative entities. And so like that ego thing, like, you know.
Yeah, the too many cooks in the kitchen metaphor.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we were both like super like headstrong. We'll keep like trap jokes going. That's pretty fun.
You would take him on.
He would take on
anyone.
anyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. That guy's really awesome on Twitter right now, by the way.
Oh
Yeah.
man, dude,
Greatest
I am
band in the
following
world.
that. Oh my god, I think it's the funniest shit I ever saw in my life.
Oh.
That dude thinks he's so cool.
The best is like how far out of touch he is, that like he's like talking shit on bands that are so much bigger than him,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
and he just has
Nobody's
no
bigger
idea.
than
He's just in such a little bubble. People like that, like Trapped has like songs that are definitely like in the background of like movies and like soundtrack songs and stuff that you just know. Like even if you heard on the radio, you'd be like, "Oh, that's Trapped." You'd probably name 10 other bands.
Yeah, okay.
I got you.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it was kind of struck me like they were like if Axe Body Spray was a band.
Okay, so Rob comes in, Radio Must Die.
So we started going DIY pretty heavily at that point. And I remember our first thing that we did was we just made like 1 million copies of a record that we were recording in
Yeah,
the
it was like
basement
3
of
songs
our, you know,
or
like
4
we
songs.
were doing this.
What do you call it? Wake Up.
Wake Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were calling it Wake Up. We were really politically minded at the time. A lot of it was based around like, which, God, do I miss him at this point? But the George Bush
The Bush
administration
administration,
and, you know, living in post 9/11 and feeling like, you know, things had gotten shaky for freedom and stuff. Like, so I voiced a lot of that through that first album, through Godspeed Jack Ketch. And yeah, the album was forming and we just burnt them, like tons and tons of them, and we made them ourselves. We made stickers.
I remember.
And, dude,
I could be like, I remember staying at my uncle's house because he had like a good printer, and I was like printing off copies and like stuffing them in the sleeves
and we would just like leave them at music stores and like sneak them in racks at FYE and like would hand them out at shows and would like you name it. Those CDs were fucking everywhere. Everywhere we went, those CDs were. Over time, it was weird. We were like a really like culty sort of band. We'd have these shows and we would just have like sick turnouts. Other times we'd be in the middle of nowhere and have like absolutely the worst time of our lives. But like we were solid.
You were at some of those shows.
Yeah. We were solid for pulling
Yeah.
decent numbers every now and then and being able to have a good time with the crowd. And I think a lot of that like guerrilla marketing kind of style, the DIY ethic, and the like, that stuff was good for us. Unfortunately, we were a handful to deal with as far as like, we were a little wild back then, is what I would say.
You don't say. You don't say.
So, you know,
So I was trying to think back and figure out like the exact moment that I got involved. I couldn't
I remember you were dealing with a band called Meldon.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
And
definitely someone around the
I
puppet house.
booked the Arrogant Sons of Bitches. And I needed some strong openers, and you and I were talking because I was booking the Angry Toasters a lot at the time. So we had you guys down. I had them on the bill. I had the Arrogant Sons of Bitches playing at the end of the night. Showed up. Oh my God, you guys showed up.
Yeah,
And like beer
Beer
bottles
cans are, like,
came
rolling
like
out of the
flying
van and
out of the door of the van. You guys were ready to go when you showed up to the show.
Yes. So that would have been the first time I ever saw you guys live.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. And I think that was what pulled you. You were like, man, your recordings are okay.
yeah.
But you were like, you guys play everything like faster.
I
and
actually
you have
think
more
I have footage of that
energy.
show somewhere.
And then Melded came up, and the guy from the Puppet House guaranteed them like $100,
Mhm.
and then at the end of the night just refused to pay us
Oh yeah, of course, right?
and tried
So
to
the guy
like
would walk around tripping on acid the whole time.
he tried to pay us in. Now I had never heard of it. I remember I had just gotten a BlackBerry and I had to Google what it was. He was like, "Can I pay you guys in wet?" I don't know what that means. Is that some kind of money? And like we Googled it and we were like, oh, that's a really bad drug. And we didn't take it. And he like went to like he like left something there as collateral and like went to an ATM and came back with $100 for them. They gave us money too, but they tried. I think they looked at Benesky and they were just like,
oh, drugs.
Yeah. But
congratulations, Brad. I saw you just had another trial. Congrats.
Number 3. I remember you'd always send me the recordings. I thought the songs were really good, but like the recordings were whatever. And then when I saw you guys play live, I was just like,
little did you know what you were getting yourself into.
Right. I was like, well, these guys aren't even 21 yet. Like, we can dive in. Like, this will be cool. And it was definitely sold on the live show. And it might have been the mystique of like the creepy marionettes hanging from the ceiling or whatever. But
yeah, that was there.
You guys won me over at that show.
I remember a show in Myrtle Beach that we were in this like tiny ass basement. They gave us so much booze. They gave us like 10 free drink tickets before we even like went on. And we were like, when do we go on? They're like, no, just wait. And it was just like, and by the time we went on, everybody sloshed. We're playing in a corner that's like this big, like maybe the size of this room, like right here. Like this would be where we were playing.
We're like mad kids,
and yeah, the place was wall to wall. It was like 300 degrees because of body heat. And we played the fuck out of this place. And like afterwards, people just came up and were like, dude, what the fuck was that? Like you guys were setting up and we were just like, oh man, what is this? And then you started playing and we were just like, holy shit. And so, I don't know. I think that was our digs.
I think then for me, how my timeline goes is shortly after that, I was just like, hey, like I'm working with this melded band. And I had also just started booking shows at Fagan's and Crocodile Rock. Booking shows is great and like I do it, but I'm so much more passionate about the management aspect and the building bands part of it that at that time I was 100% only booking shows to put you guys and Melded on them.
Yeah.
Like that was like I was booking national bands, but it really didn't matter to me like that part of it. Like at that time, like I never thought of it like I didn't care about making $1 off the shows. It was just like, this is a chance for me to get my bands in front of all these people in this bigger band, like, and I was so naive to the music industry that I didn't totally understand. Like, I legitimately, like, probably thought at that time, like, oh, if, like, I put these guys on with this band, they're going to get a record deal. You know what I mean? Like, that was probably just, like, obviously, I learned more as we went on, but like right off the bat, it was just like,
initially, yeah. I mean, that's how I felt about it when I was booking shows. I was like, this could be the way it happens. I mean, we were like, we were literally 16, 17, 18 when we were like starting out. Like, I mean, you were 19.
Yeah.
When you were like first getting going and 21 by the time the ball really got rolling. And then you were fucking doing your own thing at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys probably, I know for a fact, you played the corner stage before the big stage was built. I booked like 14 local bands as a battle of the bands with you guys as a headliner.
Yeah, that was that time that,
remember that.
We were like judging it or something too.
And you guys were the guest judges, but like this is what everybody does anyway. Like I was just, trying to make you appear bigger than, you were at the time.
That's the game. Yeah. That's the game, baby.
Come in, and so like these bands, like it was just like I Am Legend from Connecticut.
Yeah.
But they like sold like that show was packed. And you guys definitely made fans at that show in that area.
Oh yeah, that lasted the
length of
the career. A band, yeah.
That might have been where we met Barb Chapman.
I'm pretty sure that might have been.
Shout out Barb Chapman, you're the best.
Fagan would just like, when I started bringing the nationals in, he would just like put up the money and then like give me a little bit if the show made anything.
Right, yeah.
So like I would book these nationals, but like I would only be booking nationals that I thought you guys could play. So like I booked the Gay Blades.
Yeah, that was a great one.
I think that was one of the first ones.
And I mean, you love that album too. Don't even.
But I had never heard of them till then.
Yeah.
Now, like James is my buddy, one of my favorite bands of all times. But like I think you just like said to me, Rob was like, we would love to play with the Gay Blades. But it was like the Gay Blades and Punchline.
Yeah.
But I would bill you guys like up there with the other ones. So like you guys played a bunch of shows at Fagan's before it was Rigby's, and it was I Am the Avalanche.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. We were just talking about that the other night, actually.
And then you guys, right?
Yeah.
Melded right before you guys.
And I want to say Title Fight or somebody.
So listen to this lineup, right? I Am the Avalanche, I Am Legend billed as like a like headliner support, Melded, the Menzingers, Title Fight, Tiger's Jaw, and then this band.
Just these bands.
Yeah,
you know?
and then there was this band called like Machine Arms that was on it too. And then you guys played Croc Rock a bunch of times too in Allentown.
Yeah.
Love Croc Rock.
Yeah, I like Croc Rock's a good time.
Well, do you remember what shows you would be on there? I
Played
blocked
with
most of that out.
Robert Patterson.
Yeah, like the guy from Twilight.
Really?
Yeah, Kelsey and the Chouse.
We played a driver side impact.
Motionless
there.
in White.
I'm pretty sure we did have play downstairs while Motionless did the upstairs
Yeah.
thing.
What were they called? They were like, Go Radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strangely, through you guys, I developed obviously good relationships with the Space,
Cafe 9?
Cafe 9. You guys played there, and then you would play Toads once in a while because I would get you on nationals there.
The Webster until Ben Wu.
The Webster, that's where it was. Yeah, Ben Wu. He was my connect there.
He literally disappeared. He went to the Bahamas and was like murdered or something. And then
Like on the beach, right?
Yeah, and just gone.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all over the news.
Huh?
You guys opened for Drop Dead Gorgeous there.
Yeah, we did. That was a little bit of an awkward one. MC Lars, that was the cool one.
Yeah, you were on MC Lars. Yeah, so MC Lars, I remember Drop Dead Gorgeous, Pistolita pretty quickly as far as like New Haven, East Haven goes, the Buzz Band up there.
Oh yeah, we were like the house band at the Space.
Oh yeah,
You know,
for sure.
like you guys, if somebody, I mean the Space, you guys opened for everybody up there.
Yeah.
And then we decided to start taking the show on the road.
Yeah, Driver Side was our first serious tour. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but our first tour was not Driver's Side though. It was somebody else. Because we played like some like rando ass places.
Yeah, and that was like you guys like did a loop down through like PA. You played the Moose in Doylestown
Doylestown, with Balance and Composure.
with Ballast and Composure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys basically like lived with me for on and off for a year and a half.
And then you called and you were like, yo, we're going to put you on tour with this guy is from Victory Records and a little wild, so I'm going to come with you. And you jumped, we came up and we picked you up. We played like a one-off show.
Just like a acoustic thing, I think, at the Main Street Jukebox, right? The guy painted.
Yeah, we got painted.
Oh, yeah.
You think I'm still there?
I tried to buy it.
Really?
I really wanted that when I was redoing my basement. I wanted to hang it here. Yeah, Driver's Side. So, man.
What a fucking trip that tour was. That was probably one of the most fun tours.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. Like, those guys, like, seriously, like, even though
Jack McGinty
we were all so
distracted.
Yeah, we were all so distracted. But, like, seriously, some of those guys are still, we're all still friends. Like, we all still talk and catch up. So, like.
We look at Mark Woodbridge, man. That dude's doing some shit and fucking.
I probably talk to Mark every day.
Yeah.
We're like super close.
Dude, tell me what up.
And I also I stay in touch with Andrew a little bit.
Yeah.
He was on not Top Chef.
Like fucking Iron Chef or something, right?
Iron Chef. He was on something. Yeah, he was on like a TV show.
Chopped.
Yeah, and he like won, right? Yeah.
He won once. He didn't win the second time, I don't think. But yeah, that tour was like a definer for me because it was like your first tour with like or any band I ever worked with, like with a real,
national touring act. Yeah.
What we thought was like a real serious, like gonna be really big band, you know?
Yeah.
And then like it was also cool because it was the first time I ever talked to a record label because then Victory was like, you were like on their radar.
No, we were in a Ford Explorer.
With the Explorer.
We still had a trailer, but we hadn't found a van yet. We had been using the Explorer, and we had 6. So I was actually, this is so illegal, but I was sleeping on the luggage, like riding. I would be in the luggage and on top of everybody's like blankets and sleeping bags.
In the back, yeah.
The trunk, yeah.
Yeah. Remember we called it the Princess Palace or something like that?
Pillow Palace.
The Pillow Palace.
Pillow Palace.
Pillow
Yeah.
Palace.
I think the first show was in South Carolina, right?
No, Newport News, Virginia.
Yep.
Newport News, Virginia. It was a festival.
Yeah.
It was. And then
it was hot as fuck.
We got invited to the party on the airport.
With fucking Blackstreet.
With the guy from Blackstreet's house. Like, what an introduction, right? So we're on tour. The first day, we also met another staple in many of our lives for many years, Apache Chief.
Mr. Aaron Lamb.
Oh my God.
He was still one of my favorite people in the world.
He is.
He was the tour manager of that, you know?
Yeah, just leading us straight into hell.
right? He had booked most of the tour, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of his shows happened. He booked a bunch. So yeah, so we go to the festival. I don't remember much of it. I remember it was like a bar.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it
then
was a big,
other,
like wraparound bar.
There was
like,
two
huge.
stages,
It was
like
big.
opposite each other.
but it was attached to a strip club.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Brian
And
kept
Brian
getting lost.
fucking went in there.
Brian kept getting lost in the strip club. Yes.
Yeah. But it wasn't like a real strip club. It was like a bikini bar.
Yeah, it was like some jank shit.
Yeah.
But Brian
And
was
then,
loving
then
it.
an all-age pop punk festival on the other side. But pretty decent show, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was some kids there.
Yeah.
You know, not wild. Newport News was terrifying. I remember that.
Yeah.
We weren't in a good part of town. And then I remember we got invited to the party afterwards.
The party was insane.
Oh, I remember Danny. I just remember like a dog eating a hot dog out of his mouth.
Yeah, there's a chihuahua. And the chihuahua was like a teacup chihuahua.
Yes.
And it was eating hot dogs that were like the size of it, but it was like,
Yeah,
it was just,
But
so it was just like taking them down.
I remember shooting craps in the kitchen. I remember like I didn't know that we were at the Blackstreet guy's house. I think you guys might have, but I didn't.
No, I still don't think that I even knew that was his house.
Yeah,
I didn't
and
know
like-
it was his house.
Yeah,
To be
I
honest,
didn't-
until tonight.
Yeah, I just
knew he was
was there. Yeah.
Well, so I'm shooting craps with them for like dollar bills in the kitchen with these guys, and I'm winning, but I don't know really how to play the game. It was like CeeLo, I think we were playing actually, and I'm like winning, and he was getting mad, and I remember he was like, "Don't you know who I am?" And I was like, "No," and he's like, "I'm from Blackstreet," and I was like, it just like went over my head, and I was like, "I don't know," and he's just like, "I like the way you work it, no diggity." I was just like,
Remember that?
"Yeah, like get out of here," and that's how I found out. And then I
explain the recording studio in the house.
I remember
That explains that.
Yeah.
now. Like that.
It actually explains a lot of that house.
yeah, and there was like a hot tub going on, I think, right?
Yeah,
Like,
out
there's
back, and
people
then there's like
jumping into
taps
the
and the
Yeah.
like beer taps on the fucking counters.
yeah, he had to be like 40, so like that's what's even weirder about it. Yeah, there were just beer taps like
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
There was 3 Ks. There was 3
Yeah.
K drinkers.
That was wild. That was a wild time. So we left there. We went to
No, didn't we go to the Luna Bean next?
the Luna Bean. Yeah, where was the Luna Bean? North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Remember the stage was like 6 feet up in the air, and it
Yeah.
was like 2 feet wide.
Yeah, because we played there twice. We played there with These Green Eyes too.
Is
Yeah,
that the one that was sick on?
Maybe, yeah.
The one that's like really high,
Yeah.
and I got like I
Wait,
basically
let's stay
passed
linear
out.
here
Okay,
because
Sorry. Yeah,
no, yeah. But that's I that was the next night. But I just remember that tour being good
It was a lot of fun and good for us.
when the shows happened. We did
Yeah.
play in Myrtle Beach that time though. Remember we were like
Annihilated.
I don't know where in Myrtle Beach you played that night, but like
Yeah, but we went to like some place that was like Disney World, but with just more booze.
yeah, we went to the boardwalk place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there was like fish that you could feed. And
Yeah, but I don't remember. I just remember like somebody bought like a box of Jello shots, SpongeBob shots.
Bob shots.
Yeah, but the fucking they were just
Dear God.
they were just
Pineapple in the
pineapples soaked in grain.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
I
wild.
forgot about that.
That was wild.
That
That's
was
what
I
remember
gagged
about
on
Myrtle
those.
Beach. And then I remember after the Allentown show, like ridiculous party at my college house. So then that's when I left the tour.
Mhm.
Yeah, you were
guys
like,
care
I'm done. I've had enough fun for a
Well, you
life.
guys left, but they left Aaron at my house. They left Aaron at my house because he was supposed to get picked up for another tour, and he just like I went back to college, and he just like lived with my parents for a week.
Yeah.
My mom like called me like I didn't know he was still there. Like 3 days later, my mom called me. She's like, "Is this kid ever leaving?" He's like eating all the food. Like, what's going on? And I called him like, "What are you still doing at my parents' house? Like, you gotta go, man."
He came and stayed with me for like a week too.
Yeah.
Remember?
Driver's Side Impact Tour happened. Then Van Atta High.
Van Atta High
Yeah,
happened
that-
somewhere down the line.
Yeah, that was somewhere in there. Yeah.
So I think that was because that was it was definitely before.
Yeah, it was like them and then like Seth Phasers to Stun.
Yep. I think we did like a Kelsey and the. Or no, we were supposed to go out with Thieves and Villains, and that didn't happen. So I think it was us and Pull the Pin instead.
Yep, you guys did the pull the pin out to like Ohio, and then but you guys had like quite a little resume under your belt.
Oh yeah, we did a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot. I think the one year I took it up to like we did like 260 or something like that.
Yeah.
Where we were playing all like all year. So I mean, there's a lot of shows to go like over and like try to figure out
the roster of bands that you toured with. I mean, if we try, it doesn't have to be in order, but you did the Driver's Side Impact tour.
Yeah.
We were on the Victory radar.
Yep.
And then the Van Atta High tour, which they were signed to somebody at the time. I don't remember who. And then Pull the Pin was on Masquerade, which so was Motionless in White at the time. So like the label had buzz. You guys did that These Green Eyes tour. They were on Atlantic Records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a full page in Alternative Press for it. Do you got how I didn't come on that tour. How was that tour?
That's fun as hell.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
That was one of the.
It was fun as hell, but also miserable.
So those guys were kind of at the tail end of their career, and they really were starting to kind of get like they had
Pretty
their good days and their bad days on that tour, but like the bad days were the bad days, and like I think we were starting to kind of get into that ebb and flow too. And like there was at least a couple guys in our band who like really weren't feeling it that much anymore, and I think being out with those guys and like seeing where they were and hearing them like really say some stuff like, you know, get out while you fucking can, and like they were just really done with the whole thing, you know, like they had gotten beat.
A couple of guys.
And
pretty bummer.
Yeah, that like certain guys weren't like that at all. We had some bad nights on that tour between us, and I remember Colin, their lead singer, literally like finding me and like being the reason that like I went and got on stage that night. Like it was just like that was a really rough tour for us, and I think that was when Brian, like after we got home from that, I think Brian was like, you know what, I'm good. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Like, or I'm not going to do this anymore. And he decided to quit.
Yeah, because we played like the LNG, and that was his last night.
Yeah. You did a tour with Vanna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we played him north of them.
Yeah. Like
they didn't like us too much, right?
No, Vanna, I don't remember them being like particularly hospitable.
Yeah, I don't think we really like vibed much with them at all.
Endwell.
Endwell. Yep.
The Endwell.
And we did that with a buddy of ours came out on that tour for our bass player, guy Ant Palm.
You did some Ice Nine Kills dates, right?
Yep.
And you did
Settle, Mark Rose.
Settle. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
His Joe Caviston's close personal friends and Dr. Acula.
The Forecast. Yeah, the Forecast was like one of the latter.
And the Forecast was the end of it, right?
Yeah.
The Forecast was that the last.
That was one of the last tours we did. Yeah.
That was.
I think the Forecast was the last one with Joey, right?
For sure.
The last one with Joey.
Yeah, because Frank came on that one.
So what I remember was we got home from that tour.
That was like Midwest Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got home from that tour, and I remember you giving me this call and being like, hey, man, like, I think we should put a bid down, like, for, I believe it was Motion City was about to put out My Dinosaur Life or something like that. And you had gotten word from it from, like, Van Atta's booking agent or something like that. And he was like, they passed on it. Like, get your guys on it.
Right.
And so you were like, hey, we should do this. I got all pumped on it. I was like, I'll talk to everybody. We got off the phone. And you were like, you have to find a bass player. I remember you just being like, yo, you have to get a bass player by this show. It's going to be in the band, like, going forward.
Yeah.
And got off the phone, and Joey O literally was like, hey, I'm coming over. I want to talk to you. Like, I'm pretty sure it happened in the same afternoon. And he came over, and he was just like, hey, I don't think I can do this anymore. Like, physically, it's wearing on me. Emotionally, like, I'm not enjoying myself. Like, I'm going to call it quits. And, like, pretty much before I could even, like, tell him what you had basically said to me, he was like, no, I made this promise to myself. Like, I'm out. I'm not going to do this anymore. And at that same time, we basically, like, had gotten an offer to do the, like, record Up With You. You offered like, we're trying to get that tour.
Yeah, because we were like about to go in the studio with Dave. Keep drum.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of stuff was lining up. Things were starting to get pretty, like, decent. And then all of a sudden it just kind of.
Yeah, all the ducks were kind of coming to a row. highlight of maybe one of my careers. The infamous show with Asher Roth.
Yeah.
Oh man, such a good show though. I mean,
Oh God, it was so much fun.
There's 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
yeah, no merch, no merch.
2,000 people, and you guys. I remember like I fought tooth and nail to get you guys a merch table,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you had like 2 T-shirts.
Yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah,
had nothing because Joey didn't bring it or something like that. Or,
Yeah,
I don't
there was
remember.
something
We
that
didn't
had
bring
happened,
it.
yeah.
We didn't bring it. I don't know. And
yeah. You just did.
we're not
Somebody
happy.
didn't think it was gonna be that big of a show. The more infamous moments of that night, we had just gotten a sponsorship, maybe by Drank energy drink,
Rank energy drink.
Yeah,
which was an anti-energy drink. It had like
they had 2, but yeah, they had.
But the one that we got, the case that we got was
We
the
had 2
relaxed
cases.
one. Yeah.
They stole the energy case.
Yeah.
They were down. We had them downstairs outside the green room, and somebody stole the energy one.
Probably Scooter Braun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He owes us.
Which incidentally, I've always said,
Have you
if
ever
I
felt responsible for Justin Bieber?
yeah, if I ever write an autobiography, my autobiography is going to be called "And All We Had to Do Was Kill Scooter Braun."
He was like we were standing side. It was the 3 of us standing side stage, and he came over and he was like just talking like big shotting us, you know. And I was
I
like,
had
oh,
no
dude, you know.
fucking idea who he was.
No, I knew who he was though. I just read a big article on him.
Yeah.
So he yeah, one of you guys did something to offend him, I remember. But
I mean,
I laughed
Yeah,
because
so
he
we-
said this dude was going to be bigger than Michael Jackson. He was 12 years old, and he was
Right,
white,
right.
and like whatever, and I just lost it.
so he pitched. He was he said something, and I like said the quote that he was quoted in Forbes or whatever, and he was like, oh shit. And then he was like, yo, he's like, what, like this, how does this dude even know who I am? I was like, well, I put on the show, you know? And he was like, oh, I want to pitch you this kid that I found on YouTube. He's going to be bigger than Michael Jackson, blah, blah, blah. And you like scoffed that. And then I was like, oh, dude, not interested. Like, Pop's dead. So like had a shot at early entry to Justin Bieber and didn't get it. Nothing like the manager trying to fight the dude
MTV gone.
yeah, trying to fight the guy from MTV when my band's on the show. Because he was hitting on. Well, she's my wife now, so I guess it worked out.
Yeah,
Well,
you know.
He
Don't
kept-
hit on some dudes.
I believe the exact word was, I find her fascinating. And I said I was going to fascinate his face.
Yeah.
And then Asher Roth broke it up.
Nice.
That's always a fun story to tell our kid. But yeah, so then that's kind of, I remember you guys playing a bunch of big festivals.
Yeah.
Also worked out. Like I remember you guys crushing Big Giant and blowing like Hawthorne Heights and The Sleeping and everybody away. What have you guys been doing since? I mean, Rob, you know, you did the Lion Face Boy thing, and then Rob, you did the Sleeping with Wolves.
Wolves at Bay.
Wolves at Bay. There's
I
a
did Wolves
lot
at
of
Bay. I
a
did
lot of
another-
bands with wolves in the name, so I do.
Yeah, there are. There are too many. That band no longer exists. Will's in a new band. I think they're called Real Love. They're super, super good. It's everything that you love about Wolves at Bay, but just without me.
They were signed though, right?
Yeah, they did some stuff. We were in alternative press. I mean, I can't take any credit for anything. Will wrote the song, so like, that wasn't. I'm not taking any of Will's thunder. Will is the fucking genius of that band.
And Lion Face Boy made some splashes.
Yeah, that was like my aftercare project. Like, so we were pretty good towards the tail end of I Am Legend. Like, we really tried to be like the positive force of like keep going. And we were doing those acoustic tours, and the money started like dropping. Like, I remember we started getting like less and less per show, and like less and less people were showing up, and like there's a lot of animosity starting to like brew between even like you and us because we didn't feel like we were doing what we had to do, and you really weren't happy that we hadn't like picked ourselves up since basically Brian had left the band, like the bass player. So it was like, it started getting really heavy. Like the touring and stuff felt awful. We weren't writing anymore, which was the fun part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I remember I decided to quit at a certain point, and I guess Rob ended up hearing it from a friend of ours. And Rob and I just stopped speaking to each other pretty much from that day forward until about a year. I think I had already moved to Florida at that point.
No, we made it before then, but
Briefly before then,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it was like a month or two before you moved to Florida.
So like, yeah, we would like, so once I moved to Florida, I set up with a little home studio. I recorded the first Line Face Boy EP. I was really heavy on social media at the time, like YouTube, Tumblr, all that kind of stuff. I put a lot of like fan involvement into writing the first EP. And then I kind of flew back and forth from Connecticut to Florida and played shows. And like, I definitely marketed it heavily in Florida as like an already established act, like a firestorm. Like the Line Face Boy took off faster than I Am Legend did, but like, and it was just because it was the type of music people wanted at that time. And so like we blew up in the little Tampa Bay area. We were playing on the local radio station. We were bouncing around like pretty much up and down the state every week, trying to do different shows on the weekend because we had hit like a pretty high mark on Pure Volume. We had like beat out Panic at the Disco and a few other bands for
but
like
not Trapped.
Yeah, but not Trapped. But for a couple weeks, we were like the #1 played artist when that album, that 4-track album released.
I remember that.
And so that was it was big. And then the Line Face Boy went back to Florida. We played pretty steadily. We rode together for a little while longer. We had some interest in the Staple Records, I believe, was like the one we were talking to. We were talking to Buddy Nielsen a little bit about management and about like a potential label deal with like some split. They were opening up like 2 new subsections. And he thought we'd be good for like whatever the one like Make, Do, and Mend, I believe he was gonna like throw up there. Similar like vibe from us. Ended up not working out. We really didn't have newer songs that he was like feeling. So, and the band sort of just limped until it didn't walk anymore. There was no breaking up or anything. It's always been like my pet project.
I'm excited about the studio because they said I'm still in the game to an extent. And I have a really exciting young band that I'm excited as soon as, we obviously our timeline got a little banged up with this, but as soon as it's safe, we want to get them up there with you guys and
yeah,
do a couple songs. So I'm excited about that. And, like I said, hopefully they're benefiting from, the mistakes that I made with you guys. Unfortunately, just I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, we were so young.
Yeah.
So I guess that'd be an interesting way to make this real and to end it. What did what could I have done better, just as a self-reflection thing as the manager?
I mean, you could have been a gentler love maker, but
well, I mean, I've learned that over time.
You never bought me a shot of Prairie Fire.
Okay.
That would have been sweet. That was a really rotten thing to do. No, I actually think you're a pretty great manager. I think you always tried to keep us invested in the project. I think if you
put up with us. I think that was a big thing as you dealt with us.
I mean, yeah, there really wasn't. I don't think there was anything that you did that was like intentional or anything you could have controlled. You know what I mean? Anything that happened negatively to the band kind of was just our luck. Like we just had really shitty fucking luck. Like we did. Like we had really. We bought a van and it broke.
I remember
like
that.
The next day, like we just had shit luck, bro. Like and we should have renamed that band from day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely find, I draw back to that because I don't know that I've been as invested, and, this is an apology to anybody else that, I've worked with throughout the years, but I've never been as invested in a band as I was you guys. Like,
we felt that.
Oh, we knew that.
Yeah.
That I believed in as much that I, but like that lived and breathed for that band. Until, and still like it's not to that point yet, but these guys, I like actually feel like I'm that confident in it. Both souls, yeah. So I'm like super excited about it, and they definitely have, it's funny, like perspective of like a lot of the same stuff comes up, and just like now it's like it's a weird mixture of like the fatherly part of it that comes in,
yeah,
and then just like an extra 15 years of experience or whatever, but and like a lot of those lessons were learned through you guys. So I definitely appreciate everything that you guys like brought and taught to me too throughout those couple of years, you know, like definitely. And it's cool. Like, when I like people like ask me a lot, like what bands did you work with? And even if I'm like back in Scranton, like I throw out your name, like it's just the first name that comes off my tongue, you know? And like people know the name, like the name I Am Legend is known.
Yeah.
I would say it's like 75% of people know it's you. And then like the other 25% think I'm talking about He Is Legend. I have to like explain.
Yeah.
But it was the worst fucking name ever. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was. It's a terrible fucking name.
Fucking
We were
bad,
kids.
you know, people, especially in that genre, you know, if people were in bands, especially like if I talk to like dudes that were in bands back then that are in bands now, or like that are like road crew or whatever, if they were anything to do with that genre from top to bottom, you guys were known in the scene, you know, like the national notoriety was there. I just don't think we ever completely were able to
I
connect.
think we quit when we could have. Like, I think that's exactly what happened. I said that we had a conversation the other day, and I think we were right at the point where the buzz was about to pop. And like, I think if we had put our bid down and we had gotten the My Dinosaur Live tour, like we would have big time popped. Because I think that would have been the point where everybody would have been like, this isn't a dream. Like, we can do this. And it had been so much work up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody, like, we had been grasping at fruit. So I would say, like, and this wasn't anything you wouldn't have known to be this way, but like as guys are trying to quit the band and stuff, like especially like a guy like Brian or like Joey or something like that, like you be front line on like putting that bandage on and trying to like wrap it back in, especially at a moment like that when the band is like so close to being like where you need them to be. But I know those two guys like had their own faults that you kind of,
they were pretty headstrong, you know.
And you know, so I just want to say thank you guys and apologize in whatever way is needed as well.
No, man.
No, we had a good time.
No,
we got stories.
I think if I totally go back, I can justify everything into the lawsuit that I saved you guys.
Yeah,
For
sure.
That lawsuit. No matter what else happened, when Rob hit a girl with a tall boy in the face at a 2,000 person sold out show, and I got it off on a T-shirt and a signed CD and an apology letter. I think that's where I earned my keep.
Apology phone call.
Apology phone call. That's what it was. Oh man, the mom was just like, that girl. It was hilarious too, because at the Asher Roth show, there were like probably 10 I Am Legend fans.
Yeah, right.
One of the ones that was a fan of yours in the face with a 4-pound projectile of metal. You know what's funny? I was searching through old emails and stuff, just like familiarizing myself back to all the things that we were doing. I had an email from the Front Bottoms asking me to manage them because I was managing you guys at the time, and me responding back and being like, "Hey man, like I just want to focus on this one band right now." And I'm not into your music, I think is what I said back. Yeah, I had that email, and I had the email from the guy from Victory Records about wanting you to walk on his back in white socks or whatever.
Oh yeah,
drive through,
not yet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, dude.
I appreciate it. Now, if you guys are listening and you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button down below, drop some comments. All three of us will hop in there and answer them when it comes out. Thank you guys, as always, and I'll catch you later.